And we are live.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Hello, human. I did not post my neon video last night because I'm learning a lot about my speech patterns by narrating these things. And if we've got a 10-minute video, I make sure that I narrate for 15 minutes so it'll close up. The problem is my gaps are larger than my chunks of monologue. So it looks like deadline, from, deadline.
Yeah.
And then that continues for 15 minutes. Once I take all the deadline out, I'm down to like 7 minutes. And that's not enough for a 10-minute video. So I have to go in and plus that at that point I'm like, oh shit, I never did tell the story about blah or talk about the history of the element or whatever. This one's much more rambly than last time too. I tried to keep Florine on point and no one cared. So I'm going to go off on tangents and enjoy myself.
I think that's really the way to do it. Like when I think about the YouTube like creators that I really like, they bring a lot of their personality into it. If they're just flat narrating, like I can't have a parasocial relationship.
You froze.
No, I didn't. I'm here. Unless, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you. I mean, I can see you, but you're a still frame. There we go.
You're not seeing me slowly do this. I was very still, but it wasn't because I was frozen. It's just my face.
At any rate, yes, a parasocial relationship with someone who doesn't put their personality into things.
Yeah.
I understand. Although, the deadpan that I enjoyed was Chris Salomone, who does a lot of really beautiful, clean furniture and woodwork. Not woodwork. He would hate to be called a woodworker, but he's a craftsman. And he started getting kind of goofy after a while. Just a few months ago, he started putting in weird little dry jokes and things. And I was like,
I'm not familiar. I think the driest YouTuber that I watch is probably Baumgartner Restoration.
Yeah,
because he has that.
He also occasionally.
Right, he's like very monotone, and then every once in a while he'll throw in a little joke. But you can tell that that's who he is. Like he's just that guy that's gonna be like, and this is this about this and that, and you meet him at a party. That's who you're gonna meet.
Exactly. It does not feel like a persona or anything.
Yeah, or like he's trying to.
Because I remember saying I don't like it when he does his talking head videos. Show me the cleaning of the canvas in time lapse. It's what I live for. All the rest too, because I'm learning all kinds of fun stuff from him. But he's taken to like not doing the time lapse of the cleaning. He just skips it, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Like eating all the chocolates off the bottom layer of the box.
Gosh, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say a thing. I don't remember what it was.
Go ahead and be goofy.
Go ahead and be goofy.
This is a Black Widow t-shirt. I realized that the word black keeps appearing in my screen, and I'm like, I could say a lot of things.
It's really funny how in sync we are sometimes, because I was just looking at the rocket ship on my shirt. This is a Worldcon t-shirt from when I went to Worldcon in Finland. And then I was looking at yours and being like, is that a Black Lives Matter shirt, or what are we working with here?
Right? It would be if I had one. But it's Black Widow kicking some henchmen's asses.
As she do.
Yeah. Right? So I should show them my painting?
Yes.
There we go. Kind of. It's like a ship. There, it's fitting. There.
There.
I had a bitch of a time trying to find Art Nouveau snake furniture and stuff, so I made up my own.
I think it really works. I think because it's the snaky patterns. I'm surprised there's not more. I would think
Right?
snakes would have been a pretty popular motif.
They do show up, but they're like cobras with their mouths open and things.
Ah,
And
yeah.
some of them were too they either weren't complex enough or they were too complex for this piece. So it just wasn't right for me. Corin was over earlier and he asked, why a hairbrush? And
I didn't that.
I was like, you know what? You have a point. A hairbrush doesn't really work. How about I paint it out and put a small cage of white mice?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So,
I love it.
so I've got a few more things I need to do, and then it belongs to Tiffany. And I get my hair done, and I'll look totally different this time next week. Yes. This time next week is my birthday.
Oh, yes, that is true. Tell me of the birthday plans.
Well, on Friday, Jason and I are going up to the Meiningers Wizard's Chest Goddess bookstore trifecta and probably spending money we don't have on me because I'm selfish like that. And
it's literally your birthday.
And then going out for lunch, and it is my birthday. Exactly. And I'm not much of a shopper, but it's fun to go out and do retail-y things with him. So that and lunch, and I think that's it. I'm gonna bake a bunch of cakes this week because I've got a lot of cake recipes that I'm finding that I want to experiment with, and I don't want to have to choose between them. So we're gonna end up having like Russian honey cake and chiffon cake.
That one.
Yeah. And whatever other cakes I can come up with. And then I'll have to suffer through my digestive system being like, oh, screw you. But I think I can handle it now. I'm getting there.
Good.
I have discovered that if I do like a massive like laxative day, whatever I have eaten goes away and I get to start fresh.
Fair enough.
It's not the healthiest lifestyle, but if I don't do it too often, it should be okay. Today I'm working on ruthenium. Her face doesn't quite please me. Her bodice absolutely does, and her boots need to be red. And her sleeves need to look less Mary Englebright. Did you know that there's a Mary Englebright fairy tale Flux?
There's a what?
Game. The Flux, the game Flux with 2 X's.
I'm not familiar, but go ahead.
Okay, there's lots of different versions of Flux and various fandoms and things. But today I was at a shop and I saw Mary Englebright fairy tale Flux.
That's like a number of things to sort of squish together. She didn't do a lot of fairy tale illustrations, I didn't think.
I guess she did it for the game. If she's still around.
I think so.
I looked him up last night and James C. Christensen died in 2017, so that made me depressed.
I'm sorry. Gary Larson is still around.
Who is?
Gary Larson. And if you didn't already know this, I'm about to make your day better. Someone gave him like a tablet and he got into digital art and started drawing cartoons again this year.
Yay!
So if you go to his website, yes. So if you go to his website, there's a section for new cartoons. I think it's thefarside.com. Let me check.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's thefarside.com, and then there's like a little link somewhere. I will direct you right to it. This is what I do for a living. So if you go to his website, up at the very top right corner, there's a link that says new stuff. And then it's fresh from Larson's lab. And then it's just his new comics. So do recommend.
Mm-hmm. So what are we doing?
We are reading. I have entitled this week's episode, Just Kidding, Now It's Hobbits, because last week I said there would be Hobbits and there were none. It was clickbait. It was unintentional clickbait. But before we get started,
yes,
would you like to do a Tolkien-related quiz? There is a quiz that is, what Lord of the Rings poem are you?
Wow. You know, with my luck, I'm the song about the bath.
Well, my friend who I sent it to got Tom Bombadil, so I mean, you couldn't be worse than that.
Hey, doll, Mary doll. Okay, where are you?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll do it together so the people can see too. Select window or screen. Entire screen. There we go. Allow. Tell me when you see yourself. Too much. Okay, back over here.
Nested. We were nested. We were Matrushka dolls.
We were that cereal box with the kid holding the cereal box with the picture. Anyway, you now see which Lord of the Rings poem are you?
I do.
Excellent. I shall put in your name and we shall start the quiz. Right. All right, pick a people. Can you read it or should I read it? Hobbits?
Hobbits.
Pick a volume.
Return of the King.
Pick a member of the Fellowship.
Pippin.
I love that you and I are completely different on all of these questions so far. I was dwarves, Two Towers, and Gimli.
I was, for instance, insensitive to poetry and skipped it if it came in tales. Do you skip the poems in The Lord of the Rings? No, I like them. I read them out of pride. Yes, of course I skip them. I sort of move my eyes and hope I'll make them osmosis. I only read the good ones.
We continue to be different. I said, yes, of course I skip them. Pick a sarcastic parting gift.
Oh, where's the one with the bookshelf?
For the collection of Hugo Bracegirdle from a
contributor. I was just looking for a book that apparently I loaned to someone. Fucking Hugo Bracegirdle.
God damn it, Hugo. All right, pick a rhyme scheme.
ABCCB. I love the ABCCB. I am the very model of a modern major general. I'm just down with ABCCB.
I went with you guys have favorite rhyme schemes.
We are related, folks. A Tolkien-related song. Ensemble settings of the... Okay, so the Tolkien ensemble is awesome sometimes and really pisses me off other times because they don't seem to get the point of some of the songs. Like, they do The Road Goes Ever On with a whole lot of intro, and I'm like, it's a walking song. If you can't sing it while you're walking, like, you're not taking a symphony with you.
I mean, unless you're in marching band, I guess.
I love that they're taking the Hobbits to Isengard is... Shit. I'm gonna go with the folk songs because I find myself singing "Holding Out for a Hobbit" while I'm doing dishes and stuff.
Technically,
It's
that
just
is a folk song.
it is. It's our folk song. Pick a
We have
line. Pick a line from the Ring verse. Hang on.
For anyone wondering, I chose They're Taking the Hobbits to Isengard, not because it's my favorite, but because it's the one that makes me laugh the most consistently.
In the land of Mordor where the shadows lie.
First or second?
The second, because it breaks it up and makes it feel uncomfortable.
That is true. The rhyme scheme's weird. Tom Bombadil,
Tom
thoughts?
Bombadil, thoughts? Yes, fuck yes. He's kind of weird. Cutting him was the best decision the film's ever made. Why does he have so many spare mattresses in place? Who owns 4 spare mattresses?
I thought that was actually a very solid point.
We could find ourselves discussing that, actually, but I want to talk about Goldberry instead. She doesn't get nearly enough time, and she's a very powerful person. So pick a body of water.
Yeah, I definitely chose Who Owns 4 Spare Mattresses because I was like, you're right. It's true, and you
I
should
love the
say it.
Mirror Mirror. The Mirror Mirror didn't
Hey!
make it into the movies, but it's a really beautiful moment, and I love it.
We chose one the same, finally.
Ask a question. Oh,
The
where
questions
is the
I'll
helm
just...
and the hauberk and the bright hair flowing?
Is that your choice?
Yeah.
The other options for those who may not be able to easily see it on screen are Shall men behold the silver tree, or west wind blow again between the mountains and the sea? And whither then? Who shall call them from the gray twilight, the forgotten people?
Forgotten people.
And who now shall refill the cup for me? So I
Which one did
also
you?
chose same
The
as you.
helm and the hauberk?
I
The
love that
helm and the
poem.
hauberk is a very call to arms, but it's like a really sad call to arms. Like where are my brothers? Where is my troop? It's almost like the lament of the veteran.
Well, it's a lament of the passage of time too, because then it's like they have. Oh God, I don't remember the line. I know we just read it, but it's like they've gone down into shadow.
They have gone like a wind in the meadows.
There we go. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
You're throwing a long
Throwing a
expected
party.
party.
What do the celebrations involve? Spending all night in the inn, fireworks, staying up to watch the sunrise, a get well soon card, and somehow less. It's more of a wait. The inn and music and laughter, please.
I think I chose that one too, but I don't remember.
Bilbo's recited the longest poem you've ever heard in your life, and now he's asking you to guess which bits of it were his work, which were Aragorn's contributions. What's your answer? There's something about sheep, isn't there?
Not in the
if you've got
potential answers.
If you've got the cheek to make verses about Earendil in the House of Elrond, that's your own affair.
That was my choice too. See, we're more in sync now. The battle
is over. Retirement plans, wise counsel, Minas Tirith, wandering, covered in dirt forever. Patched up and falling in love in the houses of healing, sitting by the glowing fire in Rohan, basking in the glow of my radiant glory. Rest. Bold of you to assume I survived the battle. Of all of the places in Middle Earth, especially early Fourth Age, definitely Minas Tirith. Everything goes on there. Everyone arrives there. All of the parties are there. Like, that's some good shit.
I was finally getting some rest.
What was the question here?
Pick a quote from one of the
Quote
poems in
from
The
one of
Hobbit.
the poems. Let's go ever on. Dump the crocs. Crush. Bright are the windows of night in her tower. That is one. Sing all ye joyful. Now sing all together.
Ah, yes.
That one I've always wanted to hear a good tune for so I could sing it to Abby. How
Yeah.
old am I? I remember back in the day the world was fair, the mountains were tall and green, there weren't all these stains on the moon. Whoever wrote this, I like you.
Right?
Literally the oldest living thing in the universe. I've been pining for my romantic interest for what feels like an age. Not so old that I can't wreck your entire situation. Asleep or dead. Thicker upon me than the leaves in Tara Mornolome. A well-preserved levity one, mind your own business. My 40th birthday is next week. Mind your own business.
I think I went with not so old that I can't wreck your entire situation.
Ent or ent wife. All about the ent wife. I want things to stay where I put them.
This one may take a bit because these are all like poems that
New?
that are new from Tolkien's friend.
At evening now the skies set forth last glories of the dying year. The wind gives chase to relict leaves, and we may not linger here. That is so Robert Browning? Robert Frost. One of those Roberts. Have you heard sharp cries and seen the flame of silvery steel in a perilous game for men to play, hid from the searching eyes of day? In a hollow of the hills in impenetrable gloom sit the old forgotten kings, unto whom no poet sings, unto whom none makes bequest, unto whom no kingdoms rest, only wayward shreds of dreams. Ugh. A voice there is, it cries through your every word, of him that after you moved it, that after greatest glory came down the grey road to darkness and to tears. That's not it. Just when the white ship of the moon had first set sail, and many a rune was written in the argent stars. I feel, gold-crested towers against the veiled skies. Soon as you make it veiled, you'll lose me. Time was when earth was golden. Time was when skies were always clear, spirits and souls of the heroes holden fainter cries from the darkness here. Kind of like that one. Shapes in the mist, you see me lonely, lonely and sad in the dim firelight. How far now to the last of all battles? Listen, the guns are loud tonight. Okay, so scroll up for a second and then scroll down slowly again. No. No. Closer, but no. No. Kind of like that one, but no. I think it's Shapes in the Mist. I think that's my boy.
Excellent. I was in a hollow of the hills in impenetrable gloom, just because I liked that rhyme scheme a lot.
Good rhyme scheme. Extended editions.
I really liked this. This is for a very specific person. I don't know who, but
What?
the answer, OP, I know you're only including this question to torment me, and I hate you. I have very strong opinions on the correct answer, and it's tearing our friendship apart.
I like the animated and there's nothing you can do about it. The Sam Frodo moment from the books. The last question, because choosing which quotes to include was like being hit repeatedly with a brick, and I need to go lie down now.
At that moment, there was a knock on the door, and Sam came in. He ran to Frodo and took his left hand, awkwardly and shyly. He stroked it gently, and then he
Why are
blushed and
you
turned
reading it
hastily
aloud
away.
to me?
Because you've been
Are you
reading them,
reading it
but
to
it's
me
my
or to our audience?
to you or whoever. You've been reading all of them aloud, and I figured it was my turn to read. I don't have to.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just patronizing me. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, but I know you can read. "Don't you leave him," they said to me. "Leave him," I said. "I never mean to. I'm going with him if he climbs to the moon. And if any of those black riders try to stop him, they'll have Sam Gamgee to reckon with," I said. He shook his head as if finding words useless and murmured, "I love him. He's like that, and sometimes it shines through somehow. But I love him, whether or no." Sam sat propped against the stone, his head dropping sideways and his breath heavy. In his lap lay Frodo's head, drowned deep in sleep. Upon his white forehead lay one of Sam's brown hands, and the other lay softly upon his master's breast.
See, that is one of my favorite moments.
See, I'm
Go
like,
ahead and choose that one.
Okay, I was going to say, this is like being hit with a brick. I was not sure I was going to be able to read the rest.
One of my favorite quotes. Oh. Lord of the Rings or otherwise?
Do you want me to put anything in here? I don't have to.
Oh, yeah, go for it. Your hands shall flow with gold, and yet over you gold will have no dominion. Which is the best blessing ever given to anyone ever.
Indeed. Your result is in western lands beneath the sun.
Keep going. You've got this. You're resilient and determined and unable to let go of that tiny spark of hope, even if you know it's futile. You get emotional about gardening or the relentless beauty of growing things. You're a glass half full person, even if you're having to fill the glass up yourself in order to keep it that way. In western lands beneath the sun, the flowers may rise in spring, the trees may bud, the waters run, the merry finches sing. Or there may be to cloudless night and swaying beaches bare, the elven stars as jewels white amid their branching hair. Though here at journey's end I lie in darkness buried deep, beyond all towers strong and high, beyond all mountains steep, above all shadows rides the sun, and stars forever dwell. I will not say the day is done, nor bid the stars farewell. Which one is you?
The answer to that question is like somewhat sad. Because it's not a cool one. It was the Oliphant poem. And it was like
fun.
it was something like you're kind of silly and you want to make people laugh, but it comes from a good place and you're old and you stomp around. And I was like, okay.
High as a mouse, big as a house. No, high. Gray as a mouse, high as a mouse.
I'm high as a mouse, man.
I'm big as a house.
All right. Well, let's actually read.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah.
I guess that's an option.
I forgot how long the quiz was, so if that bored anyone watching, sorry about that.
We can go over time a little bit if you're not starving.
I'm not starving. I'm
not too happy with her face. Maybe you need to take the quiz again. Oliphant doesn't sound very you.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know if I would change any of my answers.
Anywho.
We were passing the oh, no, he had just described Isengard.
Yeah. There were two small figures, weren't there? Did we get as far as the two small figures? No? We were about to.
Yeah, we had gotten as far as within living memory, the men of Rohan had not passed its gates, save perhaps a few, such as Wormtongue, who came in secret and told no man what they saw. Now Gandalf rode to the great pillar of the hand and passed it, and as he did so, the riders saw to their wonder that the hand appeared no longer white. It was stained as with dried blood, and looking closer, they perceived that its nails were red. Unheeding, Gandalf rode on into the mist, and reluctantly they followed him. So hang on.
Fabulous.
So the hand looked like white, like plain white, and then Gandalf goes past it, and all of a sudden it's stained with blood. That is metal.
Right.
Like, just his presence forces it to show its true nature. Like,
Love
come
it.
on now.
You should
Unheeding,
all have that.
Gandalf rode on into the mist, and reluctantly they followed him. All about them now, as if there had been a sudden flood, wide pools of water lay beside the road, filling the hollows, and rills went trickling down among the stones. At last Gandalf halted and beckoned to them, and they came and saw that beyond him the mist had cleared, and a pale sunlight shone. The hour of noon had passed. They were come to the doors of Isengard. But the doors lay hurled and twisted on the ground, and all about stone cracked and splintered into countless jagged shards was scattered far and wide, or piled in ruinous heaps. The great arch still stood, but it opened now upon a roofless chasm. The tunnel was laid bare, and through the cliff-like walls on either side great rents and breaches had been torn. Their towers were beaten into dust. If the great sea had risen in wrath and fallen on the hills with storm, it could have worked no greater ruin.
Oh, I can't hear you. I missed a whole chunk.
Okay,
The screen went black. Is it me or is it you?
It's you.
Oh,
Do you
then
want
go
me to
ahead.
Okay.
Nah, it's all right.
The ring beyond was filled with steaming water, a bubbling cauldron in which there heaved and floated a wreckage of beams and spars, chests and casks and broken gear. Twisted and leaning pillars reared their splintered stems above the flood, but all the roads were drowned. Far off, it seemed, half veiled in winding cloud, there loomed the island rock. Still dark and tall, unbroken by the storm, the tower of Orthanc stood. Pale waters lapped about its feet. The king and all his company sat silent on their horses, marveling, perceiving that the power of Saruman was overthrown, but how they could not guess. And now they turned their eyes toward towards the archway and the ruined gates. I think we have a bit of a lag, because I feel like we might be overlapping.
Oops. Sorry, humans.
Yeah, it's all right. It may come. Sometimes I feel like it in the playback it doesn't sound as laggy as it does like right now. So
good.
And now they turned their eyes towards the archway and the ruined gates. There they saw close beside them a great rubble heap, and suddenly they were aware of two small figures lying on it at their ease, grey-clad, hardly to be seen among the stones. There were bottles and bowls and platters laid beside them, as if they had just eaten well and now rested from their labor. One seemed asleep. The other, with crossed legs and arms behind his head, leaned back against a broken rock and sent from his mouth long wisps and little rings of thin blue smoke. I love just picturing, like, how you would feel if you were intending to, like, go and confront a murderous wizard and you come and all of his shit is destroyed, and there's these two little toddler-sized figures that clearly just had lunch and now they're getting high.
Right.
Like, what?
Like, you guys do this? Holy shit.
What are you? Like, you'd have to be wondering what the hell kind of power they had that you couldn't see.
Stay on the good side of the Hobbit law.
I mean, that was Sauron's big mistake. If he never messed with the Shire, everything would have been going his way.
Yeah, actually not wrong.
I know, that's the funny thing, is like they're the most unassuming, overlooked of species, but literally if he had left them alone, he could have won the war.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, if Merry and Pippin weren't there, the Ents would not have stirred themselves to fight, they would not have raised the trees. There would have been, like, before the trees even arrived, the Rohirrim had won the Battle of Helm's Deep, but there would have been somebody to return to Saruman for the, like, making fresh plans bit.
Yeah, well, I wasn't saying Saruman, although him too. I was saying Sauron should have left the Shire alone.
Yeah, he should have. Don't fuck with the Shirelings.
For a moment, Theoden and Eomer and all his men stared at them in wonder. Amid all the wreck of Isengard, this seemed to them the strangest sight. But before the king could speak, the small, smoke-breathing figure became suddenly aware of them, as they sat there silent on the edge of the mist. He sprang to his feet. A young man he looked, or like one, though not much more than half a man in height. His head of brown curling hair was uncovered, but he was clad in a travel-stained cloak, of the same hue and shape as the companions of Gandalf had worn when they rode to Edoras. He bowed very low, putting his hand upon his breast. Then, seeming not to observe the wizard and his friends, he turned to Eomer and the king. "Welcome, my lords, to Isengard," he said. "We are the door wardens." I cannot remember what the fuck accent I was doing for Mary, so whatever. Meriadoc, son of Saradoc, is my name, and my companion, who alas is overcome with weariness, here he gave the other a dig with his foot, is Peregrine, son of Paladin of the House of Took. Far in the north is our home. The Lord Saruman is within, but at the moment he is closeted with one Wormtongue, or doubtless he would be here to welcome such honorable guests. Doubtless he would, laughed Gandalf. And was it Saruman that ordered you to guard his damaged doors and watch for the arrival of guests when your attention could be spared from plate and bottle? No, good sir, the matter escaped him, answered Merry gravely. He has been much occupied. Our orders came from Treebeard, who has taken over the management of Isengard. He commanded me to welcome the Lord of Rohan with fitting words. I have done my best. "And what about your companions? What about Legolas and me?" cried Gimli, unable to contain himself longer. "You rascals, you woolly-footed and wool-pated truants! A fine hunt you have led us! 200 leagues through fen and forest, battle and death to rescue you. And here we find you feasting and idling and smoking! Smoking! Where did you come by the weed, you villains? Hammer and tongs! I am so torn between rage and joy that if I do not burst, it will be a marvel." Gimli's just so relatable. Like, I have been looking all over for you, and you're just here chilling, and you look fine. What the fuck?
I was worrying!
You speak for me, Gimli, laughed Legolas, though I would sooner learn how they came by the wine. One thing you've not found in your hunting, and that's brighter wits, said Pippin, opening an eye. Here you find us sitting on a field of victory, amid the plunder of armies, and you wonder how we came by a few well-earned comforts? Well earned, said Gimli. I cannot believe that. The riders laughed. It cannot be doubted that we witnessed the meeting of dear friends, said Theoden. So these are the lost ones of your company, Gandalf. The days are fated to be filled with marvels. Already I have seen many since I left my house. And now here before my eyes stand yet another of the folk of legend. Are not these the halflings that some among us call the Hobbit Len? Hobbits, if you please, lord, said Pippin. Hobbits, said Theoden. Your tongue is strangely changed, but the name sounds not unfitting so. Hobbits. No report that I have heard does justice to the truth. Merry bowed, and Pippin got up and bowed low. You are gracious, lord, and I hope that I may so take your words, he said. And here is another marvel. I have wandered in many lands since I left my home, and never till now have I found people that knew any story concerning hobbits. My people came out of the north long ago, said Theoden, but I will not deceive you. We know no tales about hobbits. All that is said among us is that far away over many hills and rivers live the halfling folk that dwell in holes and sand dunes. But there are no legends of their deeds, for it is said that they do little and avoid the sight of men, being able to vanish in a twinkling. and they can change their voices to resemble the piping of birds. But it seems that more could be said. It could indeed, lord, said Mary. For one thing, said Theoden, I had not heard that they spouted smoke from their mouths. At this point, Theoden just thinks they breathe smoke. He's like, oh yeah, sure. Seems weird.
Yeah.
I never heard about that, but sure, why not? That is
Why
not
not,
surprising,
indeed?
answered Mary, for it is an art which we have not practised for more than a few generations. It was Tobold Hornblower of Longbottom in the South Farthing who first grew the true pipeweed in his gardens, about the year 1070 according to our reckoning. How old Toby came by the plant. You do not know your danger, Theoden, interrupted Gandalf. These hobbits will sit on the edge of ruin and discuss the pleasures of the table, or the small doings of their fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers and remoter cousins to the 9th degree, if you encourage them with undue patience. You nagging bastard. Some other time would be more fitting.
Gandalf, what have you shown undue patience?
Right. Some other time would be more fitting for the history of smoking. Where is Treebeard, Mary? Away on the north side, I believe. He went to get a drink of clean water. Most of the other Ents are with him, still busy at their work, over there. Mary waved his hand towards the steaming lake, and as they looked, they heard a distant rumbling and rattling, as if an avalanche was falling from the mountainsides. Far away came a hum, as of horns blowing triumphantly. And is Orthanc then left unguarded? Asked Gandalf. There is the water, said Mary, but Quickbeam and some others are watching it. Not all these posts and pillars in the plain are of Saruman's planting. Quickbeam, I think, is by the rock near the foot of the stair. Yes, a tall grey Ent is there, said Legolas, but his arms are at his sides, and he stands as still as a door-tree. It is past noon, said Gandalf, and we, at any rate, have not eaten since early morning. Yet I wish to see Treebeard as soon as may be. Did he leave me no message, or has plate and bottle driven it from your mind?
Nagging bastard again.
He left a message, said Mary, and I was coming to it, but I have been hindered by other questions. I was to say that if the Lord of the Mark and Gandalf will ride to the northern wall, they will find Treebeard there, and he will welcome them. I may add that they will also find food of the best there. It was discovered and selected by your humble servants. He bowed. Gandalf laughed. That is better, he said. Well, Theoden, will you ride with me to find Treebeard? We must go round about, but it is not far. When you see Treebeard, you will learn much, for Treebeard is Fangorn, the eldest and chief of the Ents. And when you speak with him, you will hear the speech of the oldest of all living things. I think we've discussed this before, but if Treebeard... Well, that was my thing. If Treebeard is the oldest of all living things, does that mean that Tom Bombadil isn't technically a living thing?
Oh.
And if so,
that's
what is he?
Right. The referee.
Like the observer from Fringe?
I think he's just being inconsistent. Like, if Tom Bombadil and Treebeard are contemporaries, then whichever one you're talking about, you can say, oh, this is the oldest.
See, I like the idea. I just like the idea that, like, Tom Bombadil, for some reason, just doesn't count. Like, he's so outside of everything else that he's not even technically alive.
That sort of makes more sense for the way they talk about him, because when they're around him, he's super important, and elsewhere they just kind of forget that he exists.
Well, and so at some point, don't they say, like, what is he? And Gandalf just says he is the oldest, but he doesn't say the oldest living thing. He just says the oldest.
Right.
Or he might have said he is first, even.
He's the first, yeah. No.
Anyway.
It's worth coming up with theories on because it's interesting. Anyhow, go ahead.
I will come with you, said Theoden. Farewell, my hobbits. May we meet again in my house. There you shall sit beside me and tell me all that your hearts desire, the deeds of your grandsires as far as you can reckon them. And we will speak also of Tobold the Old and his herb lore. Farewell. The hobbits bowed low. So that is the King of Rohan, said Pippin in an undertone. A fine old fellow, very polite. Chapter 9. Flotsam and Jetsam. Come here, boy. Little Mermaid reference for you there. We watched that movie recently. What?
What?
I don't know. We overlapped.
First.
I didn't.
I said a little Disney bounding.
Ah, yes. But sorry, the lag is really getting to me.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's just because it's not like being in person, right? If I'm talking, I can't hear what you're saying.
Shit.
Yeah.
But you watched it again recently?
Oh, yeah, and it's super messed up. Like, way worse than I remembered. Things just kept happening, and I was like, what? Wait, they're what now? This is not okay. I'm very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Ursula continues to be amazing.
One of the worst bits is the so help me, Ariel, I'm going to get through to you, and if this is the only way, and then he breaks all her shit. And it's like, what parenting mag were you reading that made you think that would be the way to get through to her ever under any circumstances? Like,
Triton is the literal worst. I am extremely on Ursula's side.
Yeah.
But also, like, she has this weird like, she falls in love with the guy, and she has this, like, whole weird scene where she's, like grinding up on a statue of him. It's so bizarre.
Yep.
And the whole song about eating fish with the crab.
Poisson.
Yeah. And I can't think of the crab's name, but he's just, like, getting literally traumatized watching his friends be murdered.
Right? That's, yeah. And it's supposed to be funny. And his eventual revenge is just to whack the man's teeth out. Also,
it's real weird.
I know that film theorists have harped on this before, but it bears repeating. It's a portside town. Fishing is a major industry. If fish are sentient and they've just, like, married the princess of the sentient fishy people to their local royalty, what?
Yes.
Are they only going to eat fish convicted of crimes from now on? Like, how's that going to work?
What crimes? Fish crimes?
Yes, they're going to have to invent and enforce fish crimes in order for that town to eat and have any kind of economy. And the punishment will be death for every fish crime.
The moral implications are just really troubling.
Yeah.
I mean, like, are you inventing an entire legal system purely to make yourself morally feel better about cannibalism?
It's not really cannibalism, but it is eating the sentient, which, just because they're not you doesn't mean it's morally okay. Yeah, that's exactly what it would be. It would be inventing a moral and legal system to support carrying on with that, or you let the economy of the town collapse, or maybe you get into piracy and you just feed off other humans.
Maybe you get
Maybe they'll
into
all start
treasure
growing
hunting.
tulips. There you go. There's a lot of shit on the bottom of that sea.
Yep. Yeah. I've decided the fish and the humans form an economic partnership, and they become very successful at business together. The fish bring up the treasures, and the humans sell them.
Excellent.
I'm not sure
Because,
what's in
yeah,
it for the fish.
not getting eaten. Wait, that
I mean,
sounds wrong.
yes. Yeah. Like this
That is not
this
what
is still
Neanderthal
sounding
partnerships are actually based on. Come on.
yes, this is still sounding very morally ambiguous. Um,
That's putting it
let's
mildly.
I did say very.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I mean, many Disney movies have troubling implications when you think about them too hard, which is why I try not to, but they're just on at my house a lot right now, and the implications of Cars are also really troubling.
I've heard about some that didn't really hit the nail for me. Do you mean within that universe, or how does that universe connect to this universe?
I mean, within that universe, like, none of you have hands. How do you manufacture the parts? Or do you breed organically, which is more upsetting, frankly?
Yes, that is exactly what happens. I never pictured them not breeding organically. Otherwise, what's the point of getting attracted to each other? Like,
I mean,
I know the point is emotionally, but like, when you evolutionarily speaking,
I don't know, but it just I don't know what the mechanical equivalent of a furry is, but whatever it is, that's who made that movie.
yeah, yeah, I
And I'm
absolutely
going
concur.
and I'm going to just drop the mic right there and move on to this chapter. Please, no one tell me what the mechanical equivalent of a furry is. Furries are lovely people. I enjoy their company, but I just don't feel that I need to expand my knowledge in that direction. Ahem. Gandalf and the king's company rode away, turning eastward to make the circuit of the ruined walls of Isengard. But Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas remained behind, leaving Arod and Hasselfeld to stray in search of grass, not glass. They
Right.
did not have the horses eating glass. They came and sat beside the hobbits. Well, well, the hunt is over, and we meet again at last, where none of us ever thought to come, said Aragorn. And now that the great ones have gone to discuss high matters, said Legolas, the hunters can perhaps learn the answers to their own small riddles. We tracked you as far as the forest, but there are still many things that I should like to know the truth of. And there is a great deal, too, that we want to know about you, said Merry. We have learned a few things through Treebeard, the old Ent, but that is not nearly enough. All in good time, said Legolas. We were the hunters, and you should give an account of yourselves to us first. Or second, said Gimli. It would go better after a meal. I have a sore head, and it is past midday. That's right, Gimli has a fucking head wound.
Yep.
You truants might make amends by finding us some of the plunder that you spoke of. Food and drink would pay off some of my score against you. Then you shall have it, said Pippin. Will you have it here, or in more comfort in what's left of Saruman's guardhouse, over there under the arch? We had to picnic out here so as to keep an eye on the road. Less than an eye, said Gimli. But I will not go into any orc house, nor touch orcs' meat, or anything that they have mauled. We wouldn't ask you to, said Merry. We have had enough of orcs ourselves to last a lifetime. But there were many other
Such an
folk in
way of
Isengard.
being like, cool it, dude. We have the right to the issues here, not you.
Right. But there were many other folk in Isengard. Saruman kept enough wisdom not to trust his orcs. He had men to guard his gates, and some of his most faithful servants, I suppose. Anyway, they were favored and got good provisions. And pipeweed? Asked Gimli. No, I don't think so, Mary laughed. But that is another story which can wait until after lunch. Well, let us go and have lunch then, said the dwarf. And on that note, I myself should go and
Right.
have dinner probably.
Fair enough. I like that type of boot. And she wasn't looking like she had enough details.
I like it.
I was having so many issues with her eyes. Now we're just going to close them. Ruthenium is tribe. That is her gnome. But anyway, I guess I'll be seeing you Wednesday.
Indeed, indeed. I felt like I was going to say a thing, but I don't remember what. So it'd be. I like her boots.
Oh, good. I found that with way too many of the elements, they're standing in the classic posture that I've always drawn, where one foot is turned to the front and the other one is turned in profile. And I'm realizing that that might be a habit that I'm stuck in more than a technique that I revel in. But honestly, I can't have them all like jumping, leaping, dancing. Some of them are just standing there like, here I am. And at that point, you have very few choices when it comes to feet.
I'm just now realizing that that's also how I draw feet in the rare instances where I draw a figure. I definitely got that from you.
Well, it's classic. It gives it 3 dimensions and a little bit of movement without having to do any work.
It do what it do, and it do it well. Why would you feel guilty? No guilt.
It's my fault that you're going that way. Boy. All right. I love you.
I love you too. I will see you on Wednesday.
Excellent. Cuidado.
Diamas.